We're currently here in Wellington, Florida, talking to Vard, Martin Fuchs' show groom, and we thought we'd ask him what it takes to travel horses around the world, such as from their home base in Switzerland to here in Florida. So Sean, how long have you been travelling horses for?
4 years, almost 4 years with Martin, and then about 8 or 9 years overall as a group.
And how often do you travel horses?
Every week. Every week. In Wellington here it's easy, it's like 2 minutes away every time I go to a show, but in Europe it can be up to 12 hours every week.
And do you have top 3 products you can tell us about that you take to shows?
Yeah. Number 1, I always take carrots to the shows. I bring the same food that we use at home. I bring this to the shows. And number 3, I bring my Haygain.
And what's your favourite show to go to?
I have a couple different reasons, but the overall best show is Villach in Austria, family Glock.
And what do your horses wear to travel? What kind of rugs and boots and all the gear?
Very little. I try to keep it as simple as possible. Less is more in my opinion. Sure, some horses they need hind boots, some need higher boots on the hocks, some are kicking a little bit so they get different kinds of protection, but I try to keep it very simple and always little boots, never bandages. Blanket wise, then just keeping the temperature nice, that they're not too warm, not too cold, keep the wind off the back, and yeah, to keep it varied, but normally I try to keep them always the same temperature.
Would you make any changes to their diet or management before you travel them?
No, not so much. Not so much. I try to keep everything simple, always the same, not that they get any stress or anxiety from different feed patterns. Maybe I would give, yeah, on a really long trip I would feed a bit of mash, but normally I try to keep everything very simple and the same.
And how often do you stop for food and water?
On a long drive I will stop every 4.5 hours with the taco break. So while the machine is on the break, then I'll go in the back and give them water and check everything's good. Feed wise, I'll only feed if we're on a really long trip and I feel it necessary, but normally I prefer to feed, you know, upon arrival at the stable or the show.
And do any of your horses have special requirements?
No, thankfully. Not really. We have quite easy, nice, simple horses at the moment, so there's nothing that's really concerning. It's a nice complaint, but...
How long do you give the horses when they first arrive at a competition before competition's going to start?
That depends as well on where you're coming from. If you're coming from home, you could probably be a bit early for the show, depending also on the show. I mean, if it's a long week there, you don't want to be there any longer than you have to be, so you're going to arrive close enough to the vet check. A long drive, obviously, you will arrive maybe a day in advance, if possible, if time permits. If you're coming from another show, you can also be tight with the timeline for the vet check, so it's really depending. But I would always like to be early morning of the vet check, so they can chill all morning and then in the afternoon they can start to work.
Given a choice, is there a time of day that you'd travel the horses?
Nighttime, always. I'm a night rider. I find the horses relax better on the truck during nighttime. They sleep, I can turn off the lights, let them zone out a little bit. Trip goes quicker for them then as well. Less traffic on the streets, shouldn't have any delays. Yeah, generally nighttime, and I prefer the nighttime as well.
Okay. And on a lighter note, what's your must-have food for a long journey?
I wish I could say cookies and chips, but I'm going to say fruit and water.
And a favourite soundtrack?
German après ski. I love it.